I'm going to talk about two things. First thing is the Tumbler concept of happiness. The second thing is the Ferrari concept of thoughts. With further ado, thanks a lot for liking my previous Circles Concept of Life by Dr. SHREEVEERA. I'm Dr. SHREEVEERA again. Let's begin. As we know, simplicity is the most complex thing in this world. That's the reason happiness, being a very simple thing, is also at the same time very complex. We actually misjudge happiness throughout the entire career of our life. As I spoke in the previous video, first initially we think it for some food stuff, later we think it's money, later we think it's relationships, and finally when everything goes haywire we think it's God. This is what we think about happiness. There is no constant definition of happiness. We usually change the different definitions by which we display happiness. So these are my random thoughts or whatever surge of thoughts I had. These are the random things, my assumptions, what I feel like. There is no concrete evidence and whatever I speak. So please, if you don't like it, take it with a grain of salt. As this will be another lengthy video, I request you guys to please be patient and watch it till the end if you want to get my concept. Let me talk regarding my Tumbler concept of happiness. What we do as humans is very simple. Every day we get up from bed with an empty glass of mind. For example, that tumbler thing you imagine, it's a transparent glass tumbler which is my mind or my psyche for that day. I'll get up with an empty glass of mind and I want things to happen for me to feel happy. So if someone praises me or something good happens to me, I feel happy and I throw a couple of drops of happiness into my empty tumbler of brain. Later, over the period of day, I'll start collecting these happy thoughts and I start filling up my tumbler, and it might reach halfway or 3/4 by the end of the day. And in between the process of the day, if you quarrel with someone and if you don't like things that are going on for that particular day, some amount of drops will leak away from our tumbler. By the end of the day, the time we reach our bed, our tumbler will definitely be only around 1/4 to half filled with happiness. This is what we perceive. But according to my Tumbler concept, contentment is somewhat like a commitment to happiness. Can you guess what the currency of happiness? We misjudge it for money most of our lives, but the currency of happiness is our own consent. If I want to feel happy, I can be happy. It's like, for example, any major surgery or whatever that matter in a hospital, one of the biggest contraindication for surgery is always the patient's consent. Similarly, the biggest contraindication for happiness is my own consent. If I am not consenting myself for being happy, nothing. I will never feel happy. According to my Tumbler concept, what I want to tell is I have to get up in the morning with a complete filled tumbler of psyche, of my happiness. My tumbler should be filled. Once I get up in the morning, I should be completely happy. And I have to lead the next 24 hours of the day so that the drops of happiness won't fall away. Let's give a simple smile to any quarrel or whatever, so that we will not shake up that tumbler, so that whatever happiness we have got up from the morning, it won't spill out. That's the reason by the end of the day, definitely we will end up being 3/4 happy. Because the subconscious mind is always under work during sleep. When we sleep with the kind of tumbler, that thing will carry over for the next day. If I am happy before sleep, the next morning will be happy. I'll be sober. This is how happiness goes according to me. And one more thing, we humans are very selfish for that matter. For example, what we have to do, we have to make things happen, and based on the outcome or whatever, we have to feel happy. But on the other hand, what we are doing, we are expecting things to happen to us so that we can be happy. What will happen? Nothing will happen. We have to make things happen. That's the reason I'd like to give one example. For example, if a house is large one, compare the same thing with a small house. If a similar person with a similar socio-economic status will settle in a smaller house, he'll be more happy compared to the larger house. The main thing is the extra dead space which that house has. This guy will feel like it feels empty. I have to fill in with more furniture. I have to do much more things to make this house look pretty. If it's a small house, that's the reason smaller the merrier. I'd like to give one small example regarding Socrates. What we think regarding happiness. As there will be a disciple of Socrates. Once he'll be very miserable, he'll be like very disappointed. Once he approaches Socrates and he says, "Sir, I'm really miserable. I'm not at all happy with my life. I'm not feeling anything. I don't want to live anymore. I want to die." So immediately what Socrates does is, he tells him to get one bucket full of water. Once he gets a bucket full of water, Socrates holds his head and dips it inside it. After a few moments, around like 20 seconds, he lets him go. At that moment, he'll become bewildered and he'll become completely taken aback. He becomes surprised and he asks, "Why are you planning to kill me? I was just joking around, but still I am not feeling happy." Then Socrates says, even the act of taking in air should give happiness to us, because that's what is life. When we are having fever, that's the moment we'll realize the happiness of being healthy. Same thing he tells him. The act of taking in air, breathing in, going in through the lungs and enjoying the atmosphere should bring happiness. The same thing I demonstrated it to you by dipping your head into the bucket to show the absence of air. When your head was inside the bucket, you were dying for air. But once you are out, if the same air was not pleasurable to you, the same thing happens. Whatever things which happen on a regular basis, which give happiness, we take it for granted, we develop tolerance and resistance towards it. For example, if I get fruits or something very interesting, tasty thing, today I'll become happy. The same thing occurs tomorrow and day after. I'll develop resistance. Okay, fruits, whatever, yesterday I had, day before yesterday I had. Same thing, same taste, everything same, my concept of happiness is different. That's what is happening. That's the reason I definitely follow these Japanese people. What they do, they say itadakimasu before eating food. What itadakimasu means is like, the way they do is, they join their hands, they bow, they say itadakimasu and they'll start eating. Whether they say it aloud or whether they say it within their mind, it is there, but according to Buddhism, according to their culture, they are following. Itadakimasu means, I humbly receive. They want that terminology to be thought before taking food. For example, we take food for granted. We are taking food almost 3 times a day. There are many people who are not having food. That thing, we are not feeling happy because we are taking on a daily basis. We have already developed tolerance to that source of happiness. We should not do that. For example, according to this thing, what they do is, by saying itadakimasu, they recollect 5 people at least. We should do the same thing. We should recollect 5 people before taking food. And whenever we touch food, before touching food, we have to think of 5 things first. First, the soldier who is defending our country. Second, the farmer who is sowing and reaping the crop. Third, our father or the caretaker, whoever is earning money with his blood, sweat and tears, who is bringing the crop to our house. 4, my mother or whoever cooks the food and makes it healthier and tastier for us, putting in a lot of love and emotion. And finally, the 5th one, my goodwill, because of my good health, I am able to take and consume food. Until and unless human blood, the pH of human blood is approximately around 7.4 plus or minus 0.5, it will be around neutral. It's neither acidic nor basic. So pH, P stands for pain, H stands for happiness. This is also my concept. I'll apply this thing later. P and H go together. pH, pain. So pain is there, happiness is there. Until and unless there is pain, we cannot realize the importance of happiness. Pain is a productive symptom in medical terminology as well as in our emotional life, which we fail to reconsider properly. For example, if we are in a painful state, if there is a thing called pain, for example, we should never convert it into misery. So what I am saying is, pain might be inevitable sometimes. We cannot get out of pain. Pain might be very inevitable. But misery is always optional. I can feel painful, but I should not feel miserable. The same thing happens. For example, when there is an exam or something, there are few people who take pain so personally, so that they become very miserable. They create one herd immunity, one circle, so that other people will feel miserable looking at them. Even people who are not feeling pain, not feeling miserable, they will also feel miserable. That's the reason misery spreads like an epidemic. Think about life, for example. Life, what we think is, something should happen to me which defines life for me. For example, today something I've achieved a very important thing in my life. For example, I have reached a milestone. I'll be happy very momentarily. After a couple of days, I'll forget that thing and I'll look like something else will happen to me which defines my life. Something else which defines my life. Over the period of time, we'll see new relationships, we'll fall in love, we get married. Later, slowly, we'll still be thinking for what is there, something which defines my life. So, life is not about endpoints. We are constantly looking for those different endpoints through which our journey of life goes. But this constant shifting of endpoints doesn't give us contentment or feeling of being happy. That's the main reason what's going on with us, why we are not considering ourselves being happy on a daily basis. So if we keep on changing these endpoints of being happy throughout the life, we think those endpoints are life, but endpoints will never be life. Life will be the journey through those endpoints. So similarly, like a journey, I'd like to tell one more concept, the trajectory concept of confidence. When the happiness has to be there, there should be confidence in us, we should be self-confident. So there is something called trajectory concept. What is a trajectory? According to mathematics, it is the imaginary line through which curvature is formed when you throw an object from 0 degrees. So ideal trajectory should be 45 degrees. If I throw something, if it's in 45 degree, it will land up the farthest the moment it takes, and it lands up the farthest, because we know that tan 45 is 1, so that is the highest thing. What happens if I am overconfident, if I increase my trajectory, if I am being overconfident, for example 90 degree, whatever I throw, it will come and hit my head, so it won't help out anyway. Similarly, if I am underconfident and if the trajectory goes below 45 degree angle, I will be licking the ground. So I should neither be underconfident nor be overconfident. So the trajectory angle tan theta should be 45, which is equal to 1. This is what I feel. Now coming on to the second aspect of this video, so I know that this video is becoming lengthy, but I would like to tell these thoughts. One important definition which I made, what I feel like is pent-up emotions. Pent-up thoughts or pent-up emotions are like pent-up pus. They have to be drained. That's the reason we feel very happy whenever a person drains our pus or our pent-up emotions. So sometimes what happens is, once in a while we have to talk to ourselves. We have to talk to the wall if we don't find the right kind of person to share our emotions. That's how it is. Now coming on to the second part of the video, the Ferrari concept of thoughts. For example, human mind, it's been researched already, human mind can generate around 70,000 thoughts per day. That will be approximately around 3,000 per minute. So the thing is, whatever we do is a quantitative thing. Till now I spoke about qualitative things and happiness. Now I am coming about quantity of thoughts. What is the workload we are doing? 70,000 thoughts per day are being spent. Among those 70,000 thoughts, around 30,000 thoughts will go waste when I am asleep. Around 10,000 thoughts will go away when I am thinking about what food to eat, when to eat, what I am eating, whether it's tasty, whether it's how. Another 10,000 will go away when I speak to someone, I see someone, I look at a dress, I see something. Another 10,000 thoughts will go away in feeling depressed, in feeling happy, showing emotions. So we are left with around just another 5 to 10,000 thoughts. Those thoughts, what we are doing, we are not using them in a proper constructive way. For example, why I said it's Ferrari concept, because Ferrari is one of my favorite supercar brand. That's the reason I'm comparing. For example, let's consider a factory which produces Ferrari cars, for that matter, and let's consider one more factory which produces around Maruti cars, and one more huge factory which produces all types of cars, Maruti, Ferrari, including BMW, Mercedes, everything. So the kind of thoughts, quantity of thoughts, what the Ferrari guy will put into making a Ferrari car will be completely geared towards Ferrari. Same thing for a Maruti person, it will be geared towards Maruti. So whatever minor damage, minor engine this thing, whatever minor things also, it will be rectified by that guy, because he will be prolific when it comes to designing Ferrari cars. Same thing goes, but when you take this huge industry, he has to take care of all the types of cars, has to take care of every little changes in the engines, and that's the reason the failure rate is very high with a huge industry manufacturing multiple types of cars. Same thing, human mind is a huge industry. It has to be like a Ferrari car industry, but it is not. That's the reason, for example, if I am thinking about something, that's the reason we have to actually use the number of thoughts which are highly productive towards what we want to achieve, and reduce the other kinds of thoughts. I have to reduce producing Maruti cars, I have to reduce producing, for example, if you think Ferrari car is like passing an exam, Maruti car, those thoughts, Maruti car thoughts are something related to my relationship, BMW car is something related to my gaming, and Mercedes cars, the production, those things, those headache are something related to my daily diet, and something else. So if I reduce all those things and completely concentrate only on the Ferrari car, only my exam, the number of thoughts which I spend towards that will increase. That's the reason the productivity will increase. Similarly, this is the thing which we have to concentrate. We have to reduce the number of these things. So as we say, if you want to meditate, for example, meditation is a very difficult thing to do. It's like completely shutting down all kind of thoughts and reducing the number of thoughts to one. A person will attain moksha, or what they call, if he can attain number of thoughts is equal to 1 per minute, for example. In that state, the mind will be completely peace. There won't be any neuronal activity, there won't be unnecessary loss of ATPs, there won't be headache, there won't be anything. He can achieve what he wants. He sees that. For example, if I want to concentrate on one thing, for example a candle, they say to concentrate on a candle. If I concentrate, close my eyes and concentrate on a candle, what will happen? First thought will be candle, okay, but the next multiple thoughts which multiply like anything, because mine is a human brain, I am not trained in a proper way. So what will happen? Next I will think of the color of the candle, I will think of the length of the candle, I will see the dripping of the wax, I will see the length of the fire on top of the candle, and I see where it is placed, in which table it is placed, which room it is placed, which country it is placed, so and so forth. So what happens? With a single thought of candle, I increase the number of thoughts to around 5 to 10,000 within the next minute. So reducing the number of thoughts is very important, and focusing it onto the goal is very important. And one more thing, we are like a problem oriented, or what do you call result oriented people. We should not be result oriented, we should be goal oriented. It's very different. For example, if I set this as a goal, this is goal oriented thinking. But what happens if I do it right or if I don't do? If I do it, I'll win. If I don't do, I'll lose. This is the result. I should not think about the result before happening of the goal. So I have to be goal-oriented thinking. I know that knowledge is power. I definitely agree about it. But the thing is, books and hard work will definitely give us knowledge. But there is something which only time will teach us. That is experience, which is definitely better than knowledge. So what will happen if I get the combination of knowledge and experience? That is what we call wisdom. Wisdom, being wise, is one of the things which comes after we mature throughout our career, through our life. To perform best in anything, there are 3 natural resources which are inexhaustible, inexpensive, free. That is blood, sweat and tears, guys. If you accompany all these 3 and put in your effort, there is nothing human brain cannot achieve. Take oxygen for happiness. Oxygen is life, I also know. So if life were to be having only happiness, what will happen? For example, pH, as I already said, pain should be there, happiness should be there. For the blood should be neutral, for us to be neutral, or else we will become either euphoric or we will become completely depressed, bipolar ill. So let's talk about what will happen if life were to be without pain at all, like completely happy. So I'll quote one sentence from Paul Marino textbook of ICU management for this, because it's really perfectly matches with my context, my perspective. What will happen is, if I take oxygen for being happy, because oxygen is life. 100% oxygen, if you guys know, 100% oxygen is always dangerous. The human atmosphere will have only 21% oxygen. So we should only be 21% happy per day. So human life will depend upon oxygen, as we know, for metabolism, catabolism, everything. So oxygen, if it is 100% oxygen is highly dangerous. The reason is, I am quoting, 100%, a candle, for example, a candle will burn away faster if there is 100% oxygen compared to the similar candle burning away in room air. Similarly, human life will burn away faster if there is always 100% oxygen. That's the reason we should have only 21% oxygen, and we should prepare for 80% of other gases. Let it be carbon dioxide, let it be nitrogen, everything. If we are prepared for 80% of the others, we can be happy with the 20%. Similarly, for example, a person who is selling groundnuts, or a person who is selling like corn, he will never feel like tasting groundnuts or taking corn, because he will keep that aside from happiness, because daily he will be exposed to selling it, so he will be constantly looking at it, he will become fed up at it, and he doesn't feel happy with that. Always there is like 2 approaches to happiness, what I feel. One is the optimist and pessimist. There are always 2 types of people. Optimistic approach is, for example, if everyone can do, I can do. If nobody can do, I must do. A pessimistic guy's approach, if everyone can do, let them do. If nobody can do, how can I do? This is the clear-cut picture of what we think. If we follow the crowd, that's the reason I say if we follow the crowd, the most likeliest place we end up is the exit. And the perspective, everything depends upon our perspective of life. For example, I'll tell you a word which is a magical thing to see. Nowhere can be read as now here. Nowhere can be read as now here. I'm just changing, giving a gap between W. I'm just rearranging that W. Similarly, life is all about W. When, why, what, whatever, whom, which, whether. If we know these things, W's in our life, we can make nowhere to now here. It's as simple as that. We have to impress ourselves at least one thing per day. Whatever thing. Because throughout my life, I am discovering myself first. And I am showing off to the world what I am. First to show off myself, I should know what I possess. To know what I possess, I have to impress myself. So how to impress myself? For example, if I want to do something, I have to feel what else I can do. I have to start thinking about it. As we say, all great scientists are great thinkers. If you think about something, thinking of what to think is a very important thing which we are not following. For example, we are thinking, we are making it as a passive process. If I stay calm itself, I am generating, as I told, 3,000 thoughts per minute. So if I think what I have to think for the next minute, in that 3,000 thoughts, I can make around 1,000 productive thoughts. So somehow I can increase the productivity. So thinking what to think is also an important thing to think. There will be a huge ship actually. The ship will be filled with lots of marine soldiers and everyone. And there will be only like few doctors, few engineers, and there will be an old wise person. After a couple of hours of journey, what will happen? Suddenly the ship, the engine, there will be a huge problem. The engine gets broken down. So in order to fix it, something has to be done. There is a very minor thing. All the engineers will come, they'll see everything, they'll use all the jacks and complex equipment, they'll see the electronics, they'll see the shuttle systems, everything, but still they cannot fix it. But once at the end, there is that old wise man, he comes and he sees that one small, like a small wedge kind of thing has occurred over the engine because of overheating. So what he does, he takes a small wooden hammer and bangs it in. Once it is banged, just he taps it. Once he taps it in, the engine will start again and the ship will start working. So everyone is happy, completely okay. Next day the minister, once the ship reaches, he wants to reward that old person. So what he does, he tells him, okay, tell me the bill of how much has happened for that minute thing you have done. He says, it's $10,000. The emperor is completely thrown aback. What have you done? You haven't done anything at all. You have used one wooden hammer and just tapped on it on a small dent and you're asking for $10,000. It's ridiculous. So he'll give a printed bill to the emperor saying, the wise man, he'll give a printed bill to the emperor saying, cost of the wooden hammer, $1. Knowing where to tap, $99,999. This is how life is. We should know where to tap and when to tap. Never live for the sake of others. You live for the sake of yourself. Never live for the sake of others because they will all die. One final thing I'd like to stress on guys is human life, like God has given us multiple different gift boxes which are buried deep down our grey matter or our brain. Most of them won't be uncovered by the end of our life. The main problem is, for example, if I am having a lot of gift boxes within myself, I have to find the right amount of key to open it. So for example, if there is an examination, I do lots of hard work so as to clear the exam. That hard work and the effort, important effort which is required for that hard work amounts for the key. That key will open the examination result towards happiness. That is the box. So for example, throughout our life we might miss many things. So I am feeling pity that most of us, like most of our people, what we do is we'll end our life without realizing half the amount of boxes which have been given to us free of cost by God. So what we have to do is we have to cultivate the habit of looking for keys. We have to scatter around, we have to look the keys so that we can open different boxes which are lying dormant within us, which can give us good gifts which are otherwise we lose them. So that's the reason many people, we lose our job opportunities, we lose our education, sometimes we lose our relationship, we lose love, we lose marriage, we lose many things because we won't be looking for the right type of key at the right moment to open the right kind of box. That's the reason we should always look around for keys within us to open the right type of boxes. Thanks a lot for watching this video, guys. Hope it did not waste your valuable time. This was a very lengthy video. I could not break it down. I tried my level best. So thanks for watching till the end. See you guys in the next part 3 of life-changing motivation, which will be regarding what is memory, how to cultivate a habit of developing good memory, and what are the misconceptions we think about good memory. See you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Give me a thumbs up.